how bad do you want success? I was answering calls and the customer would ask, where's my order? My response is, I actually don't know. Customers were really upset and they needed to talk to somebody. Look, Lord knows I do not want to do that. Oh, well, it's not my money, so it is what it is. Or, oops, that mistake cost a lot of money, but okay, it is what it is. The company has a lot of money. What's going on, everybody? My name is Karthik and I'm the Chief Operations Officer for UZ Marketing. These 4 traits are something you want to keep in mind and really implement in your day-to-day life if you want to experience exponential growth. Me personally, these are some of the traits that I've adopted mentally and mental frameworks that has helped me grow into Chief Operations Officer of UZ Marketing, a $10 million a year revenue company. So one of the first things that you have to understand is that there's actually many traits, but these 4 are just basic things that you can start implementing right away. So if you want to learn how to be super successful at your job and grow in your organization, this video is definitely for you. First off, hunger for knowledge, regardless of pay. What does that mean? Well, how bad do you want success? How badly do you want it? Are you so hungry for success that you don't mind not getting paid in that moment? I'm gonna tell you a story. 2017, we had just started printing yard signs in-house and we started to kind of learn the trade. And when it comes to screen printing, I don't want to bore you with the technical details, but let's just say there's 6 or 7 moving parts that all have to move in sync in order for a product to be shipped to the customer. So each one of these moving parts has to be done exactly right because there's low tolerance for error. And this is custom, so each time a customer orders something, we have to make it from scratch. So in 2017, I was really curious. I had just started taking orders over the phone at the entry level. I was a front desk rep. I was answering calls and the customer would ask, where's my order? My response is, I actually don't know. Obviously I didn't say that, but this is the battle I went through in my head. So I'm telling the customer, oh, it looks like the order has been placed and you should expect it in 5-6 days. And the customer says, okay, thank you for the update. So luckily the customer was okay with that answer because they just want to know when their product is going to arrive, which is fair because that's what customers want to know. In that moment, I realized to myself, I don't have the right answer for the customer and I don't feel like I am doing my due diligence to figure out how to help the customer. So in my mind, I thought, okay, what I gotta do is I gotta learn everything about the screen printing industry, learn it, and at least understand it. So when I go to answer the next question for another customer, or when I want to put an order in, I know a lot more about what is involved in the whole process. So in that time period, I clocked out at 5 o'clock because it's a 9 to 5 job, 8 to 5 job. So I clocked out and then I thought to myself, you know what? I want to know more. And luckily the manager at that time was actually receptive to it. He wanted to teach me because he's really good at what he did. And people generally love to teach somebody newer on how to do things, especially if you come from a point of perspective that you're genuinely asking and you're respecting that they are an expert in what they do. So this is off the clock, mind you. This is every day, 5 o'clock, I clock out and I'm back in the warehouse learning the next thing. And then I'm learning the next thing. And then I'm learning the next thing. And then I'm going home and watching videos on it. And then I'm reading up on it, going into t-shirt printing forums and kind of seeing what people have to say, join the Facebook group for t-shirt screen printing community. And I just keep learning and I'm so hungry for knowledge. I was so hungry for knowledge that nothing was going to stop me. I wanted to have the right answers to the customer the next time they asked a question. So that's what I did. I was super hungry. Number 2, welcome challenges. I'm gonna tell you a story about an executive and what the path is to get there. My dad taught me this a long time ago and it's stuck with me till this day. He said, an executive does what needs to be done, not what he wants to do. That stuck with me because I realized this is back when, before I was an executive. This is back when I was, I guess, just a little bit older than high school, maybe 19, 20. He told me this and I knew to myself that I want to be super successful. I want it and I crave it. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, if an executive does what needs to be done, then I have to adopt that mindset and continue about my life. So a few years later, which is around the time when I started with UZ Marketing, I started getting the opportunity to experience those things. I started to see things like customers were really upset and they needed to talk to somebody. So I took that challenge. I was like, okay, well, let me take this challenge. I don't want to do it Lord knows I do not want to do that, but an executive does what needs to be done, not what he wants to do. So I thought to myself, maybe I should do this. So what I did was I took many of those type of situations and they compounded on itself. So every time I do what needs to be done, I fulfill a primary objective of the business and I serve a customer or I serve an employee some way or another. Every single challenge that I overcome and welcome, it gives me more and more strength in my position, and it gave me more insight and ability, and people even looked up to me at that time because I was learning so many things and I was welcoming these challenges. The direct result of welcoming those challenges is that my skills started growing exponentially, and then it started compounding on itself until it compounded so much that a promotion was given to me to be COO. Number 3, treat the business like it's yours. This is a good one. I love to talk about this because I can't stress enough how important it is to treat the business like it's yours. Because if you want to run this business, you have to treat it like it's yours. And one thing to keep in mind is that performance comes before the results. You have to provide performance if you want the results. You're not going to get the promotion before you provide results. The reason I'm saying this is because you need to treat the business like it's yours. Pretend like it's your own money that's on the line. If your own money was on the line, would you be making the decision that you are? Think about that to yourself. Next time you go and do something, when you are making a decision or when something happens, think to yourself, what would I do if this was my money? I'm saying this mostly because I cannot tell you how many times I've seen employees think and say things like, oh, well, it's not my money, so it is what it is. Or, oops, that mistake cost a lot of money, but okay, it is what it is. The company has a lot of money. So then that kind of mentality is so sick that it will stop you from being successful. Because that business, if you want to run that business, you have to treat it like it's yours. And that's one thing you want to keep in mind, and use words like our business, our team, we are. Don't say things like y'all's business, or when you're talking to your leaders or supervisors, don't say you guys are doing this wrong, or they are doing this wrong. You're talking to another employee and you're referring to your leaders and the organization as they. That's not inclusive. You're not including yourself as a part of this organization. And by doing so, you are separating yourself from that level of establishment. You don't want to do that, because if you want to grow and you want to achieve success in your organization, you have to treat it like it's yours. Just like treating the money like it's yours, treat the business like it's yours, like it's your team. And use words like, we are making the decision to change this in our process. Or we have to think about what we are doing so we can make the right decision for the customer. In that same context, use a opposite example is you guys, and when you're talking to a subordinate, the opposite would be you need to do things because they told me that you need to improve yourself on this area. So your paycheck comes from the revenue of the business. It literally is coming from the business's income. So if you want more salary, help the company earn more. So if you're helping the company earn more, financially speaking, it is a no-brainer to give you a raise. If you single-handedly or as a group, you help the company earn 30% more revenue, it's easy to justify getting a raise. That's a pretty logical statement. Your leader, supervisor, manager will look at you and be like, oh wow, like this guy or this girl is actually providing a lot of value and is definitely increasing the value of the business. So as a result, I will give you a raise. So this brings me to point number 4, the final point in this video: constantly improve your value. If you're constantly improving your value, you are by default going to grow. That is the fundamental way of looking at it. If you get more and more and more valuable, then so does your paycheck. Your paycheck directly scales with the value that you're bringing to the table. I've seen a lot of circumstances where people think, oh, they're not paying me enough to do this. Okay, well, let's break down that mindset. Are you doing what you should be doing to get that next result? If you say, I'm not going to do that task because I'm not getting paid for that, well, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You are literally stopping your growth in its tracks by saying things like that. So you have to constantly improve your value. Even if it's after hours, even if it's off the clock, even if it's during a time when you don't want to be working, So if you work 8 to 5, then if you're spending time after 5 o'clock improving your value, then you get paid in the long run. So that's one of the things you have to understand is you don't always want to trade time for money. Because if you trade an hour for an hour's salary, you're going to be a linear progression and your growth will be relatively stable, I want to say, but you're not going to see a hockey stick. You're not going to see massive exponential growth. In order to see the exponential growth, you have to improve your value. So when 5 o'clock comes around and you're stopped doing your day-to-day tasks, improve yourself somehow. Figure out how you can be of better value to the next person. So if you're a customer service representative and you're thinking to yourself, okay, it's 5 o'clock, and then you go home and you're like, how can I do better at my job? How can I provide excellent customer service to our customers? And you start reading it and you have your own experiences with customer service when you go and visit other businesses, and you think to yourself, wow, that's terrible customer service. That's one thing that I should never do with our customer. Or, man, they have an excellent customer service. Maybe I should break down what they did and kind of implement it myself so we could do a better job at work. So when you're improving your value, you're literally tying your future income to your performance and the results that you're bringing to the table. So that's about it for this video. Be sure to subscribe if you find good value from this video. If you want to learn anything or I have questions that you want to ask about how to grow or what it takes to be an intrapreneur and things like that, feel free to comment them down below. I'll make a video on it and hope to see you all next time.